How's it going out there, YouTubers? Cyberneticshark here with another new movie review for you. So let's go right into this review and see what I ended up watching. So welcome to an all-new review out there in YouTube land, social media lands. Welcome! So this movie review is going to be of a retro movie that came out in 1995. And with the huge coronavirus thing going on right now, I thought what better time to review some of these awesome movies that have to do with viruses. And so I decided to do a little review because I had somebody suggest it too of this film. Because I absolutely love this film. I think it's an amazing film, really well directed, really well acted, great visual effects for its time, and I just think it's a really fun film. And that, of course, is a film called Outbreak. Oh yeah, Outbreak. So Outbreak is a great 1995 film that is just really fun, really energetic. Lots of great actors and actresses involved in the film, and just had a really huge cast for, that time period. Now, this film happens to be directed by Wolfgang Petersen. Now, Wolfgang Petersen you might recognize as director of such films over the years. He did Perfect Storm. He's done several other films. But a couple of films I really enjoyed that he's directed are none other than a great film that came out in 2004 that is based on somewhat of a loose reality. We really don't know what happened back then because we weren't back in that time frame. But of course it's the film called Troy. Oh yeah, so Troy is a great movie. Brad Pitt, Orlando Bloom. You had Eric Bana in it. Diana Kruger was in it. This was just a really fantastic film, and Wolfgang did such a great job of bringing to life that time frame, that time period in human history, and gave us a really great kind of, war story, but with a love story involved with it too a little bit, and a little bit of history of, what those people went through. And I just thought it was a really well-crafted and a very educated type of film that really, showed some truism to what really happened back in that time frame. Now, the second film I really enjoyed that Wolfgang Petersen directed is a 1984 classic that is a fantasy adventure film that I absolutely love. This film is one of my all-time favorite films. The music for this film is fantastic. The theme song for the film, I listen to it like at least a dozen times a day because it's such a great song. And that, of course, is a film called The Never-Ending Story. Oh, yeah. So Wolfgang Petersen only directed the first one. There was actually two other subsequent sequels to the film. The second one had Jonathan Brandis in it. The third one had the kid from Free Willy in it, along with Jack Black as well. But the original film was just so well done, from the animatronics of, just the giant turtle to, the luck dragon to just everything about it was so well crafted, and Wolfgang did such a great job of directing it and giving this really fantastic film that was very fantasy driven, very kid oriented, but had that great 80s vibe to it that really gave it, that kind of creepy kids feel to it that a lot of the 80s kids films had. It had a lot of great adult interpretation into it, unlike a lot of the stuff that they make today. And I just think that's why this is such a great movie and why Wolfgang did such a great job, and not pushing it down, making it so kiddie that, you still don't get any adult interpretation into it. And I felt that he did a great job with that. Now, when it comes to him directing Outbreak, I thought he did, once again, a great job. Really fantastically done. Like I said, the direction of the film was really done well. I thought that it had a very almost realistic vibe to it. I mean, of course, there's several things in it that probably wouldn't actually happen today. We're not seeing that happening now with our current situation. But at the same time, I still thought it was very well thought out. Really great screenplay, great directing by him, and he just gave us a really fantastic film that was really action-packed and had some great humor in it as well. Now, this film has a great ensemble cast. I mean, you have a ton of actors and actresses that are involved in this film. I mean, you have Donald Sutherland in it. You had, Rene Russo, Dustin Hoffman, Patrick Dempsey. You had Cuba Gooding Jr. in it. You have Kevin Spacey in it. I mean, just this ensemble, huge cast. Now, a couple of the actors I like to talk about is, number one, I like to start talking about Mr. Dustin Hoffman. Oh, yeah. So Dustin Hoffman, of course, we all recognize from such films as, like, Rain Man, Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. You might recognize from Kramer versus Kramer. You might recognize him from The Graduate. I mean, he's been in a ton of films over the years that have just been fantastic and wonderful. But a couple films I thought he was the best in was, the first one I like to talk about is the awesome second film of the Meet the Parents series, Meet the Fockers. Oh yeah, I absolutely love him as Ben Stiller's dad. He is absolutely freaking hilarious as that character. He's on point, picture perfect, and he just really brought to life being Ben Stiller's dad in that series. And you just absolutely fall in love with him because he's just such an awesome person. And he was so funny and had some great one-liners. Just a really great performance by him in that film. He just did a really great job. Now, the second film I really enjoyed him in, I think it's another great character that he portrays, is a great film that came out in 2007 starring Will Ferrell and Maggie Gyllenhaal. And that, of course, film is called Stranger Than Fiction. Oh, yeah, which I really enjoyed his character in it because I thought he played this really good kind of like boss character / kind of friend confidant to the characters in the film, and just his like whole interpretation of what's going on in the film. He really had a really great grasp on it and trying to help the whole situation, and I just really appreciated his character, and I thought he had a really great time in the film. Just a really well done performance by Dustin Hoffman in that too as well, and I just thought he was really fantastic and a great addition to that film. Now it comes to his performance in Outbreak. This is probably his all-time best performance, I feel, in my opinion, of his career. He was so on point in this film. His reaction time, his acting towards the other actors as they're interacting and stuff like that was just on point too as well. He has some of the greatest lines in the film, and he just was such a great person to put into this film. I absolutely love him in this film. I think he's fantastic and one of his best roles of all time. Now, the second person I'd like to talk about, of course, is Mr. Cuba Gooding Jr. Oh, yeah. Absolutely love Cuba Gooding Jr. Pretty much any movie I've seen him in, I've always enjoyed him. Thought he's always fantastic and fun. And a couple films I really enjoyed him in was none other than a great film that came out in 1994 starring the great, awesome, and amazing Paul Hogan. And that, of course, is a film called Lightning Jack. Oh yeah, Lightning Jack, such a great film. So funny, hilarious. And his expressions in that film were so on point and awesome because he literally doesn't talk through that whole entire movie. And I remember seeing that film before I saw Outbreak, and I hadn't heard his voice, so I didn't know what he sounded like. So when he started talking in Outbreak, I was like, that's his voice? Like, I really thought he was a mute because that's how good he was in Lightning Jack. He was so awesome in that and did such a great job. Really enjoyed him in the film, and I thought he was a great addition to that film as well. Now, the second film I really enjoyed him was an awesome comedy that's kind of loosely based on a Mad Mad World that came out in 2001. And that, of course, is a film called Rat Race. Oh, yeah. So Rat Race is a great comedy film, huge ensemble cast just like Mad Mad World was. It had John Lovitz in it, Kathleen and Jimmy, Rowan Atkinson, John Cleese, Breckin Meyer, Seth Green. This huge ensemble cast. And Cuba Gooding Jr. plays one of the main characters too, and he's just absolutely hilarious in it. He was on point. He was so funny. I think one of the best sequences is with him and on the bus trip that he's driving the bus where all the Lucy pretenders are, and like his reaction to that, and then trying to get onto the bus so that he can keep going to to where he needs to get to find the money and stuff like that. And it just was such an awesome just performance by him, and he was so stinking hilarious in it. Really enjoyed him in the role, and I thought he was a great addition to that already awesome cast. Now, it comes to his performance in Outbreak. I really enjoyed his performance in this. I thought he was really good. It was one of the first other performances I had seen him in, and I thought he did a really fantastic job. Just watching it recently again, I was watching him, and I'm like, he still did a good job. He was showing his potential that he would have in Jerry Maguire, and further films like Murder of Crows, which he was really good in too. And he just was really a great addition with Dustin Hoffman's film, and I thought they worked really well together. Now, the third person I'd like to talk about, of course, is the beautiful and gorgeous Miss Renee Russo. Oh, yeah. So Renee Russo you might recognize from a few films over there. Thomas Crown Affair remake. She's been in a whole bunch of films, Showtime, and so forth over the years. But a couple films I really enjoyed her in is none other than a great remake that came out in 2005. That is a remake of a 1967 film starring Lucille Ball. And that, of course, is Yours, Mine, and Ours. Oh, yeah. I believe it was 67. Don't quote me on that. I know it was the 60s, I believe. But that film, this remake, was so amazing, and I loved Rene Russo as the Lucille Ball character. And I thought she did a really fantastic job of portraying that character, being this free-spirited mom and interacting with Dennis Quaid and everyone in it. I just really enjoyed her in it. I thought that she did a really fantastic job with the role. And I just thought that she really brought a great sense to the character and was a really good addition for that film. If you haven't seen Yours, Mine, and Ours, the remake, check it out, people. It's worth the watch. Now, the second film I really enjoyed her in is a great action-packed series that had 4 films, and she started the 3rd and 4th one in this series. And that, of course, is Lethal Weapon number 3 and 4. Oh, yeah! So she plays Mel Gibson's character's love interest in the film, and she's absolutely awesome in this series. She kicks butt, she's hilarious, she's a great companion for Mel Gibson in these films, and just does a really fantastic job. So when it comes to her performance in Outbreak, I thought she did a really fantastic job as well. I thought she was another great addition to the film. I thought that her performance was on point and worked really well with Dustin Hoffman as their ex-lovers, ex-husband and wife, that basically kind of re-fall in love over this virus break. And just her expressions and some of the scenes where she's getting emotional, I thought she did a really good job of bringing that real emotion to the performance. And especially when she's, the scene where she's talking to Kevin Spacey's character, and you're just like, whoa, like, that is so emotional, I'm getting teary-eyed. I mean, it's just a really great performance by her, and I just thought she did a really fantastic job throughout the whole film. If you haven't seen Outbreak for her performance, definitely check it out, because it's worth her performance. She was really fantastic. The last person I like to talk about that's in this film series is none other than Academy Award winner Mr. Kevin Spacey. Oh, yeah. So Kevin Spacey, unfortunately, he's kind of had a downhill trouble recently with these allegations and stuff like that. But still, I feel he's a really fantastic actor. He really brings it to life, any character he portrays. And I just really always enjoy watching him because he's so good at being bad guys, being a dick, and just being, a really good actor. Now, when it comes to a couple of his roles, I really enjoy these roles. I think there's some fantastic roles and just really fun. Now, the first one I'd like to talk about is the awesome film that came out in the late 90s starring Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. And that, of course, is he plays the evil bad guy in this film. And that, of course, is the film called Seven. Oh, yeah, Seven. Such a great film if you haven't seen it. Such an amazing thriller, action-packed, lots of great guessing throughout the whole film. And Kevin Spacey plays the most evil and best evil villain I've ever seen. He was so perfect for that role, and he really brought it to life and gave us this great character that you really despise and hate. But at the same time, you're very intrigued by him because of how he's become and why he's become this way. Why does he think this way? And so he did a great job of bringing to life like if he was a real serial killer. And I thought that he just did a really fantastic job. If you haven't seen Kevin Spacey's performance in Seven, definitely check out, people. It's worth a watch. And also, if you haven't seen that, where the hell have you been, under a rock? Check it out. Now, that brings me to the second film I really enjoyed Kevin Spacey in. I thought he was really fantastic in. And this film is another one where he plays kind of a really big dick kind of character. And he just was so hilarious in it. I thought he worked really well with everyone involved. And I just thought this was a really great comedy film. And that, of course, is a film called Horrible Bosses. Oh, yeah. So Horrible Bosses, if you're not familiar with it, is basically these guys decide to get even with their bosses by trying to kill them. And each of them decide a way of trying to kill them, and so they're going to kill each other's bosses for each other. Kevin Spacey happens to be one of the guy's bosses. And so you had Jason Bateman, you had Jason Sudeikis, and then you had Charlie Day, who play those main characters. And it's Kevin Spacey plays Jason Bateman's boss, and so one of the other guys is going to do the dirty deed and kill him. And basically the movie's about them trying to get even with their bosses and so forth. But at the same time, like, Kevin Spacey plays such a dick-ass character, you don't feel sorry for them trying to kill him at all, because you want him to die because he's just so evil in the film. But at the same time, I just thought Kevin did such a great job of bringing that character to life and giving us this really crazy character that you just absolutely despise too, as well, just like in Seven. And I just thought he was a really great addition to that film. Really well crafted, really great performance, and worth watching if you haven't seen Horrible Bosses. Now, when it comes to his performance in Outbreak, I think this is one of his best roles ever, too. I feel this is one of his best beginning roles. He was so awesome in this. his performance when he's supposed to be sick and dying of Ebola. He's absolutely amazing in that particular role, and you really felt like he was really, sick and dying from it. He was just on point in this film, and he had some great one-liners also in this film. Just a really all-around great performance and a great addition to this great film. So if you're not familiar with what Outbreak is basically about, basically the plot of the film is over in Africa, basically, the apes there, or the little monkeys and stuff like that, can carry viruses. Well, one of these monkeys gets caught and brought over to the U.S. and basically gets tried to be sold to a pet shop, but can't, and lets out into the open rural area of California. And basically what ends up happening is several people start dying from Ebola, and then everyone starts catching it in this small town in California. And basically Dustin Hoffman's character, Rene Russo's, Kevin Spacey, Cuba Gooding Jr., Donald Sutherland, Morgan Freeman are all sent into this to try to figure out what's going on. And you end up finding out that they actually had the same thing that happened over in Africa back in the 60s as well, where they actually had an anti-serum that was possibly could cure this, but they had to make their own new anti-serum. So then the rest of the movie is about them trying to find the host so they can get the antibodies and make a cure to stop all these people from dying. And that's pretty much what the movie's about. It's just a great film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, people. It's worth a watch, especially if you're quarantined or at home at the stay-at-home thing. Definitely check this film out during this time. It's really fun, it's really awesome, really well done, and a great classic movie. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for liking, also thank you for subscribing. And if this is your first time here, or if you have been here before and you haven't hit the subscribe button, what are you waiting for? A grand invitation? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss this video, the awesome videos I put up. As always, people, keep your eyes out for any older, new videos you might not have seen mine yet. And as always, people, check out the awesome horror pack, which I should be doing a horror pack box review soon, because I have one on the way. And as always, people, if you're interested in the awesome horror pack, check out my link down below to get a discount. Also, check it out and see if it's worthy of your wanting to see it, because this is an awesome package that comes right to your door every month for a great low price, people. So, yeah, definitely check that out. As always, people, catch you in the next one.